Hello everyone. It's been a while since I put up a video showing my painting progress, and this is one of the main reasons. I primed these figures, a long time ago. I got them out because I was in between stages on my other painting projects, waiting for glue to dry or primer to dry, that kind of thing. And I was at a loose end, so I thought I'd continue with my Jacobite Rebellion of 1745 project. Got these figures out, primed them up, and then immediately got a little bit stuck. I put up a video about it some time ago on the subject of what colour to paint the trousers, and by the time that I worked out what to do, everything else that I had on my worktop was ready to go again. So I just put them to one side, and they've been sitting on my bench pricking my conscience ever since. So I decided time was overdue for me to get them painted, and that I would concentrate on them and not do anything else. And it has taken me forever to finish these. I think they're probably the toughest thing I've ever attempted in my decades of wargaming, but I have enjoyed it so much, really enjoyed it. So what they are, if you don't know already, they are Crann Tara miniatures for the 1745 Rebellion, government infantry, and I've painted them up as Barrel's regiment, which was the 4th Regiment of Foot, later known as the King's Own. Yeah, they have kind of absorbed me so much that inevitably I've got really enthused now with the 18th century, and I've just been making loads of purchases, as you do. I bought some more Crann Tara figures to continue with the Jacobite Rebellion project, but I've also been buying up figures for the American War of Independence, for the 7 Years' War. I've been buying reference books, and completely diverted now by the 18th century. So what I'm going to have to do is go back to my old system of having about 4 or 5 projects on the desk, and going from one to the other, so that I do continue with some of my other current kind of enthusiasms, such as the Foreign Legion, French Foreign Legion, and so on, and manage to keep it going that way. But yeah, I mean, at the moment, my head's just buzzing with the potential for wargaming the 18th century. What I was going to do, I'll just zoom in a little bit so you can see these figures in a bit more detail. I wanted to kind of like talk a little bit about the uniform details and so on, but I don't want to do that on this video, because it's going to be quite a long ramble, and it will require me to sort of show you illustrations from books and so on. So this video is just going to be about sort of showing you these figures painted up, and not much more. And then I'll put up another video soonish on the subject of my learning curve on finding out about how to paint these figures appropriately, because it was an it's just insane amount of detail that's available for this particular period, covering the uniform and facing details and so on. Naively I thought, having had sort of previous experience of painting the Napoleonic era uniforms, that I could sort of wing it, and I was wrong. It's a completely different ball game altogether, but really interesting, seeing the the sort of evolution of the British redcoat over the course of the 18th century, and how it, how it sort of evolved into the uniforms that I'm more familiar with for the Napoleonic Wars. But yeah, it's a really interesting era, not just for the history, but for the the evolution of the uniforms. And I want to put a video about that. Basically, I've put them in on multiple bases, so that I can use them for black powder. That's my kind of primary intention. Again, a lot of people don't like black powder, but for the Jacobite Rebellion, I think it's it's a bit like the colonial period. It's a good set of rules to use, because it does throw up these sort of random and sometimes odd kind of events. If you were just going to war game the Battle of Culloden using a more accurate, in inverted commas, set of rules, then there's going to be no point, because the British are going to win every time. But the Highland Charge did win a couple of battles for the Jacobites, so it's good to be able to have a set of rules that allow you to reproduce that possibility, even when the army at Culloden, the Jacobite army at Culloden, was so outnumbered and overwhelmed. So I've based them up for black powder. At this period, there would have been 10 companies in a regiment, and I've got 27 figures here. So rather than kind of spread them out on 10 bases, what I've done is just put them on 4mm square bases in the end, with 2 additional ones, which are there we go, these 2 here. And then at either end, one of the 10 companies would have been a grenadier company, but in line of battle they would have split into 2 platoons, so there would have been half the company would have been at one end of the line and the other half at the other. So I put them on a 2-figure base as well. But other than those 3, they're all on 40mm square bases. The rest of the companies were all what was known as hatmen, whereas the grenadiers had the sort of mitre cap. But I want to talk a lot more in the next video, elaborate on the facings for the various sort of regiments and the mitre caps and so on, because it was so different from one regiment to another, and it took me ages to research it all, which is one of the reasons why it was tough to do. It started off with that very simple issue of the colour of the trousers, and it rapidly developed into a what colour is this and what colour is that, and what's the badge going to be on the front of the grenadiers mitre, and really absorbing. Really enjoyed it. I don't think I said, but I messed up the flags, the colours. They're from Flags of War. They're available through Crann Tara, if you want to buy them through Crann Tara. Usually I would kind of paint around the edge to take away that white, and I tried that on the actual regimental colour and messed it up completely. So I didn't want to attempt it with the other one, so it probably will show up on the camera more than it does in the light, but one corner of that flag is a complete mess where I had to sort of paint over it with ink to hide my mistakes. But other than that, quite pleased with the way they turned out in the end. And as I say, now got the bug for the 18th century. Anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks very much for watching, and see you on the next video. Bye for now.